In early April, the Oakland Unified School District brought together more than 200 teachers from over 95 sites across the district to inform the district's strategic plan. On the last day of the convention, teachers spent the morning collaborating in groups, discussing what's going well and not so well at their school sites. In the afternoon, the groups came together to share their top recommendations with each other and with leaders from the district. Here's what they had to say.
Oh, this is not at all a competition at all. Go, 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 Tay! Going for the gold in 2011. Hello, everyone. My name is Dion Embry. I teach history at Resdale Continuation School. And our group, it was a hard, long fight. No, it was a hard, long team-building experience. But we tried our best to hone in on short-term learning targets for the district and us. So the first one is communication about this convention. We got it going on up in here. This is the first time I felt the spirit here at OUSD, and we want everyone to know about this. Get this out to the public, talk to each other about it, the teachers who didn't come to the convention, as well as systems district-wide. Everyone needs to know what we're doing and that folks are committed to continue the fight. The next thing that we came up with that was really important are assessments to make sure that they are authentic and flexible in terms of opening up a discussion about the flexibility. We understand that's a kind of sensitive subject, but just open it up. Can it be flexible? And if so, how would that look? In addition to the assessments, we'd like for the benchmark questions to be available on an EduSoft test bank, whereas they're already available in a form, but we just want the questions available in a bank so we can create our own assessments or do in-class interventions based on those test questions. Next, school leadership, recruiting, training, and retraining high-quality, effective principals, including a checks and balances system. Many of the schools have great administrators, great site leaders, and we want to be able to retain and keep them and then share best practices for other site leaders who could use that training. Next, collaboration, effective teacher-led collaboration with time, which equals money, compensation. You know, I have a 4-year-old daughter. I'd love to be on the task force, but I gotta be home with my daughter, but a little bit of money might be some incentive. I can put her in that ballet class for 8 extra weeks over at Kids a Dance, you know? Next on the list, the African American Male Achievement Task Force. Let's just give a round of applause that our district even has something like this. And we appreciate that it has been started. We want it to continue. Teacher training to unpack those cultural biases. We have to reflect teachers. We know about the students already. What about us initially? Let's look at ourselves and get quality training, and then that will translate to the students. And inclusion of ethnic studies in all of our schools. And lastly, real equity everywhere. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Candace. I teach at Fremont, and I was in room S. If you think Group S was the best, say, oh yeah. Oh yeah! Okay, so a lot of these things have already been stated, but I'll still present our recommendations. The first one was we felt that it was really important that teachers have time to actually observe other teachers. So we need this to be institutionalized and supported by the district so that we can make it happen. We're constantly developing our practice so we can be reflective. We were looking at focusing our professional development. If we were presented with the CSTPs yesterday, but how often do we actually see those? And if we're supposed to be doing something with them, we feel like the PDs should be focused around that and not in a top-down fashion, but actually have our PDs be democratically chosen and in terms of what we'll focus on and led, and then utilize the master teachers that already exist to lead these PDs and provide these trainings to us because there's so much, powerful people here. Let's use them. We also felt that it was important to have a unified place to actually have access to see all the good work that's being done. So creating some type of forum or menu, maybe it's online or some place where we can go and see what is working at all these different school sites and in the classrooms and with the programs that already exist, and then supporting that, not just creating the online and then saying it's there, here's the website, but actually incorporating that by using our PD time to actually visit those schools and visit those programs, or have them come in and welcome them to your school and use the time we have to really be active about sharing best practices. The next one we also did on the ethnic studies. We want that to be incorporated into OUSD as core curriculum, not a side, not a oh yeah, right? But really putting it at the forefront. This is core to our youth. If we're trying to create equity, that's the first piece. And also, OUSD needs to be plugging into the work that's already being done with the experts. And one of the things that's out there is that Jeff Duncan Andrade and the Step to College program are working on the Urban Teacher Quality Index. And we're talking about students evaluating teachers where there's tools already being developed. We don't have to keep reinventing this wheel. Let's go to the people who are in the communities who are doing this work and say, here, come, train us, help us, because they're doing the work already. We just need to plug into that. So the UTQI is in development, and we want that for our schools. And the last statement was that none of this will be possible without our principals really being trained and appropriately and being expected to share leadership with teachers. So don't just tell them it's a good idea, but some type of accountability where, no, there's requirements. You have to share leadership with teachers. This is how you do it, and this is how we're checking in on it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. That's much better, I'm assuming?
Yes.
So, first of all, wanted to say thank you to Team Awesome to the Max. That's Copper Group right here. Thank you so much, Copper Group. So today, we have some commandments here of what we would like OUSD to do for us for the future, beginning really right now, but also continuing through the future. So first thing we talked about was class size as being one of the most important things for us, really paramount for us. Yes. So for class size, for K3, we really see that it's absolutely necessary to have it 20 to 1, 20 kids to one classroom. 4 through 8 should be 24, and high school should also be 24. We also need to have competitive compensation for teachers. We need to be paid equally with other teachers from Alum Rock and other similar districts that are making a minimum of $10,000 more as starting teachers. We also need district commitment to this event. So this is our kickoff, but we need continued support, not just from the district to follow this through, but we also need the commitment from teachers to follow through with this, because it is much on us as it is on the administrators and Tony and everybody else to make sure that this thing follows through. So that means regular meetings. That means we need to participate in this. We also need to make sure that we're continuing a visible response to democratically chosen priorities. And as again, teachers are committed to this as well. Another thing, a huge priority for us, is nutritious lunches and breakfasts. And this means that it needs to be local, this needs to be organic, this needs to be something that we implement everywhere. The food that's at our schools right now is atrocious. It is definitely not healthy. We also need to have flexibility for curriculum and pacing. We also need to have support for new teachers, and also, and that's in terms of BITSA, and also experienced teachers. A lot of teachers in Oakland go through a period of burnout. We lose a lot of teachers. How can we keep those teachers here? What can we offer to them to help support them in those times when they've been teaching for a few years? How do we retain them? How do we treat them appropriately? How do we treat them with respect? And lastly, we like to have administrator and principal accountability. So this means that we have great, competent administrators, that Tony is keeping them accountable, and reciprocally that they're able to keep Tony accountable for the things and commitments that he's made. Additionally, we're giving principals, or we're getting adequate administrators that are producing real results. So when Tony is giving the types of results that he's expecting from administrators, these are not just numbers, these are not just quotas to fulfill, these are things that have real results that really mean something. It's not just a number that we're trying to fulfill. So that is what, oh, and one last thing is we wanted also hiring competent services. So people in all of our special services and all those things, those need to be also people who are competent. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Team Austin to the max.
Well, we are Team Get Down James Brown. Because we feel good. All right, our recommendations were, we were reallocate funding away from outside consultants to the expertise among us. And that we would reallocate funding from central office down to schools so that we can decide what we need for our students, i.e. technology, libraries, if we need a nurse, if we need a librarian, those kinds of things. Next, provide social and emotional help for students. That means counselors, therapists, things that we know some of our children really need that are help them to be successful in our school environments. Provide, of course, keep classes low, down to the floor. Okay. Teacher empowerment and support through appreciation, unstructured prep, collaboration times, where we decide what the agenda is, and we get the job done because we know what to do. And also, we want to retain and attract talented teachers by giving them higher wages, and also a wonderful package where they can feel loved and appreciated from the other districts that are trying to buy them away from us. And then lastly, we want a school-wide discipline policy that each school would have, so that those schools who we have those spiritual children that we love so much, that basically there would be what I call the redirection specialists like myself, who help those children get back on board, that other members like that who are like me would come together and we design and talk about the things that work at our schools, and we get it back to you. Thank you.
Hello, colleagues. I was one of the hand-selected few in the top A group. So named for obvious reasons. Our posters are up there. We didn't quite get to the point to synthesize everything onto these posters, so I'm going to share with you some of the things that we think are most important. And I'll start with this. Tony, can you imagine a more dynamic and amazing group to advise you on so how many of us have one of these? Just raise your hand. How many of us? So number one recommendation, rescind all the layoff notices, recommendation, retain all the current teachers. If this weekend doesn't show you the necessity of that, the rest are all tied for two. We have a lot of people with various problems with site administrators. So one idea was a listening campaign to go to sites where things are working well with site administrators and find out what the teachers have to say about that. And that can be the basis to develop some professional development, to train other principals how to deal with teachers, how to have positive relationships with teachers, how to stop talking down to teachers and value teachers as a support and so on. And also support from the district in recruiting and supporting principals. They have a very difficult job as well. And also some voice for teachers in the evaluation process for principals. Also, I want a commitment to low class sizes. Other people have said that. Teacher-led professional development. At the sites, but also at the district level. The district professional development should be run by the experts that we have here. We had a lot of recommendations about parent involvement including a survey to sites where there's a lot of parent involvement to find out what's working, what's making that happen. Also, a recommendation to maintain the family literacy programs and the things that Adult Ed has been doing to bring parents involved. Which relates back to number one about retaining those Adult Ed teachers in those programs. Now, we had a lot of issues about results-based budgeting, the main one being to remove teacher salaries from the site. It makes no sense. And lastly, in all of these things, and in all of the recommendations that any task force does, and any of the initiatives, to keep special ed in mind all the time. They seem to be left aside, and we need to keep them involved.
Can I hear my top of the day D peeps? So I kind of want to start by first thanking Ash and Maria and Tony for letting us hijack this, and I just want to acknowledge what a more positive feeling is in the room today than was yesterday. So I feel like we need a dance party at the end. About how our district is in need of intervention. And so in the spirit of response to intervention, we created an RTI pyramid. But kind of towards the end, as we were running out of time, we realized that these are kind of conditions that aren't really hitting at effective teaching. And so we also want to acknowledge that this is kind of like a foundation, and at the pinnacle is an effective teacher, but these conditions at the foundation are necessary to support that teacher being effective. The base of our RTI pyramid is equitable resources, and on the left we have kind of what's wrong right now, and then we have a move towards what we could see in the future, both for next year and in 5 to 7 years. I don't really know that I'm going to have time to go through all of this, but equitable resources are at the base. Right now we have a lack of mental health. RBB is not equitable in terms of salaries. Our discipline system isn't equitable for students. Our families aren't involved. And veteran teachers are concentrated at certain sites. Next up, communication and collaboration structures are necessary to support effective teachers. We feel like there aren't district-wide and school-wide structures in place that allow us to collaborate. There's kind of a breakdown of communication across the districts, and then sometimes communication seems clear, and then the principals or whoever is supposed to pass on the information doesn't seem to do it. And we really feel like teachers aren't given enough leadership opportunities, so echoing a lot of what we've heard about being able to be leaders in PD and developing lessons and assessments. And then at the top, really, if all of these things are in place, we will achieve better teacher retention. And so in terms of retention, we talked about really looking critically at the pipeline organizations that we're using right now. I want to just out myself as a Teach for America alumni, but I really think it's important to look critically at what those systems do to our district. And not only for teachers, but also for administrators. And we need to be attracting really high quality teachers and leaders that are going to stay in the district. And then the scripted curriculum, which hinders our creativity. School culture suffers when teachers aren't retained. And we really feel like teacher evaluations are broken and administrator evaluations. And we talked a lot about kind of up and down evaluations for all positions so that we're getting evaluated by supervisors and evaluating supervisors. so that, again, we can reach that pinnacle of an effective teacher. Thank you.